everyone, and welcome to the special edition of ETEducation and Coursera's Leadership Discussion, a part of our powerful series called Advancing Higher Education in India. I'm Yasmin, editor features for ETHRWorld and ETEducation, a division of the Economic Times. And in today's episode, we will explore how India's higher education ecosystem can rise to meet the demands of a rapidly evolving world. Today's dialogue is particularly special. We are joined by two leaders who bring unique perspectives from both institutional and digital learning ecosystems. First up, I'd like to welcome Shri Sanjay D. Ghodawat, who's president of Sanjay Ghodawat University and chairman of the Sanjay Ghodawat Group, whose pioneering work spans education, entrepreneurship, and industrial innovation. Sanjay, sir, it's such a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for joining us for this interview today.
Thank you very much for inviting me for today's podcast.
Thank you so much for joining us. And next up, we have Prashasti Rastogi, who's Senior Director at Coursera, one of the world's most impactful platforms in making quality education accessible and industry relevant. Hi, Prashasti. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, pleasure to be here, Yasmin.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have the both of you, and I'm looking forward to learning so much from this conversation. So let's begin, and let's start with a very interesting aspect of how important it is to bridge the skills gap today. So Sanjay, sir, let me ask you first. With the rapid evolution of emerging technologies and the way it is reshaping industries, in your view, how can universities leverage these technologies to bridge the skills gap and also align graduates more closely with the needs of employers today?
First of all, thank you very much for inviting me. Today, world is a global village, and we have many technologies like AI or machine learning or EVs, and now hydrogen fuel cells also. So many technologies we are emerging with. So we have to implement these ideas for day-to-day manufacturing also. So for that, we have to give them, we should be proactive and adaptive to latest technologies. So for that, we should give them new teachings also and learnings also, and for to immerse our teachers also to give orientation to them, and because of that, we can give them new learnings also. So that is my view, that we should be like Canada. Canada, they give 6 months theory and 6 months practical. So because of that, we can adapt that also in our education system.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That's a great point. With the kind of technologies that are coming up, I think universities also need to align and focus a lot more on practical education and not just focus on theory, and be more proactive, as you said, in their approach. So great points, sir. Thank you for sharing that. But Shasti, what about you? And from your experience, how do you think can our institutions, use emerging technology to stay aligned with the industry hiring demands and prepare our students for a future which is constantly evolving?
There's a rapid rise of automation, but at the same time, we see the technologies like generative AI impacting 2/3 of future jobs and the skills that will be required to do these future jobs. And at a higher education institution, the responsibility of the educators is to help students thrive in these uncertain times, armed with the right skill sets that help them being job ready and being employable, first of all, right? Not only being job ready into a future career, but also having the skills where they are employable for the future skills that are still emerging. And I think when we talk about the ecosystem in India, the National Education Policy 2020 has done a fantastic job of giving the power in the hands of the higher education system, saying that, why don't you integrate credit eligible content into the curriculum, which makes the students industry ready and give an impetus to industry aligned learning, which is both practical and fundamental in nature. So we are seeing that happen at a very rapid pace. The other piece that we notice is universities are now also reaching out to the ecosystem, be it industry or be it, if I put my Coursera hat on, platform partners such as us to implement this for credit integrated agile learning for students within the environment of the university, so that they can create career aligned exciting degree programs that attract students and future employers equally. If you look at our impact around the world, we have seen that at the university level, skills like generative AI, skills like human skills, soft skills, sustainability, or machine learning, they have doubled in enrollments year on year. And that shows the hunger to align to the job market very categorically from the students and from the universities themselves. So I think it's a very dynamic time that we are living in. And educationists are doing a fantastic job in responding to it by making sure that they create an ecosystem where they bring best of the world to their students at the click of a button.
Yeah. That's a great point, Prashasti, bringing the best of the world for your students at the click of a button. So technology to make education more relevant. I think that's going to be the key focus area for education. Also, there's a lot of demand for global exposure and perspective is growing in education. So, Sanjay sir, let me ask you, why is it important for universities to integrate cutting-edge global content into the curricula now? And how does this impact student readiness? While we are working a lot on our local levels, how does the global content perspective change the game for us?
Yes, because yeah, just I spoke that world is a global village now. So
Yes.
should be ready for the global challenges also. Students should be ready for that. So we can adapt more and more new technologies, and as per new policy, education policy, they can major in one subject and they can take honorary degree in some other interesting subject also. So that is the flexibility is there. So we can make them industry ready engineers and business ready professionals also. So we can integrate both the technology as well as practical also. So with project learning also, project based learning and experiential learning also.
Yes.
So that is more useful for them, because learning is a continuous process. So learning leads to thinking, thinking leads to creativity, and creativity leads to knowledge, and knowledge expands their wisdom, and wisdom expands their kingdom, and kingdom creates their value. So
Wow.
that is the process, throughout process. So it's not a destination. So learning to creation of value is the real journey of any student.
That's lovely. I think such a great thought, the way you describe this journey for us from learning to creating value. Eventually, that's the aim of any institution. That's the journey every student must go through. And if you are a global village, you have to make sure that everything you teach your students is globally relevant and helps them stand out from the rest. So thanks for sharing that, Sanjay sir. Prashasti, how about your thoughts around the same thing? How do you think an academic institution ensure that what they offer in terms of content is relevant, it's diverse, it's globally competitive, basically relevant overall for the audience that they're catering to, which are students?
Yeah. Yasmin, to be honest, I'll step back a little bit and say, why do the higher education institutions want to be globally relevant, right? If you look at the industry today, the biggest conglomerates of the world are setting up their global capability centers in
Absolutely.
India. We have
Yeah.
more than 1,600 plus global capability centers in India. At Coursera, we partner with over 2,000 largest corporations of the world to train their employees, right? So there's an experience that we are bringing to the table where corporations are saying they are also reinventing the wheel in most of the cases, because the processes are so rapidly changing on the side of technology. Data science and machine learning are becoming relevant to every process design or product design that they're going through, where a proposition like Coursera is helping. Now, when there is this fight for the best brains, the fight for global talent in a very globally connected economy, the tariff wars that we are witnessing currently in the world with the Trump administration levying tariffs, it's completely disrupting the supply chain of the world, right? The economics of production is changing. In this globally competitive world, we turn back to higher education institutions, not only to shape up future leaders, because those future leaders could be job seekers as students who are willing to graduate and look for exciting careers, but they can also be job creators if they become entrepreneurs. In this complex ecosystem, what we have is not enough, because what you don't know, which means we're
Absolutely.
looking at collaboration. We are looking at pooling best minds together and creating an ecosystem which gives the related skills to students. And in this environment, uh, pooling in certifications from industry, certifications from the best universities, the best SMEs of the world, and customizing it with a local flavor becomes the only way to hyper-personalize learning within the higher education system.
Yeah.
And this is not related only to the domain in which the student is currently enrolled. It is important to give interdisciplinary exposure, interdisciplinary flavor to the student.
Absolutely. Great. Thanks for this. Great examples and some effective ways through which we can incorporate universal skills into different fields of study. So skills are no longer just specific to one particular field of study. It's all cross-pollination today. And these are great examples on how you can use technology to kind of, help people unlearn and learn skills from different ways. Sanjay sir, coming back to you also around the same thought. So technology and data are not just skills for engineers anymore, right? They're universal skills. So according to you, how can universities embed technology and data science across disciplines to create more well-rounded graduates today?
We can use technology in research and communication also.
Yes.
And data science we can use in language or any social studies. So we can use both of them, and we can integrate both the things to make them able citizens and to adapt changes, because change is inevitable. Change,
Absolutely.
we have to adapt the change, because those who change after change cannot survive. Those who change with change can survive somehow,
Yes.
but those who cause the change can rule the world. So if we change with the time, we can adapt new technologies to our curriculum, and we can teach them, students also. So they can be new able citizens, and they can cope up with new technologies also.
Yeah, I think that's the very pertinent point today, that if you have the right skills of data and technology skills given to your students at the early stages, they're ready to face any kind of job roles that are changing. So their skills will be relevant no matter how the industries are evolving. So thanks for sharing that. So that's a very interesting point. Also, so I think we are speaking a lot about skills-based hiring now. More than just education certificates, organizations look at the right kind of skills when they're hiring. So with this, the value of professional certifications is also increasing. So according to you, how can institutions make certifications a strategic part of the academic journey to boost employability?
Yeah. So because of new education policy, we can give them certificate for 1 year also. So that flexibility is also there. So they can start with from any year, and they can cope up with these new changes. And so, because of that, they don't waste any year, and they can start their career immediately. So that is the main advantage of new policy.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think I totally agree that with certifications, students have the option of picking up and choosing skills that they want to, enhance the skills that they want to enhance upon. And that's how they can, boost their own employability also, with institutions giving that kind of a freedom and leverage to students to pick. So thank you for sharing that. Also, Prashasti, what do you feel about certifications, and how do you think can they help learners demonstrate real world competencies, and how can institutions adapt to this trend?
Yeah, great question, actually. And boosting employability outcomes is the first and direct impact of industry micro-credentials, right? Because industry micro-credentials do a very important job, which is strategic to the university, which is they strengthen the academic excellence. because what is being delivered to the students academically becomes very, very directly influenced by what industry actually desires. And second, it also helps the university itself to improve their ranking and reputation because of the positive employer feedback and positive student feedback that comes when students are able to do industry relevant projects, internships, and also eventually get placed in this competitive global landscape. In fact, Coursera has partnered with over 75 industries around the world to create these micro-credentials, which are mapped to certain job roles and are of different competencies. And we did a impact report and we found that 89% of learners who took these micro-credentials have reported a significant job growth and positive career outcomes through these micro-credentials being demonstratable skill and demonstratable job readiness to their desired employers.
Lovely, great. Thanks for sharing that. Sanjay sir, I'd like to understand more from you. I think Prashasti spoke a bit about how Gen AI and these technologies are also enhancing, the role of credentials here. What is Gen AI according to you, and how is your university adopting Gen AI in your curriculum, in your learning methodologies? If you could give us a little bit of background on that, that'll be very nice.
Yeah. So our students we have imbibed new policy. Our students can major in one subject and they can take in other subject also. They can minor degree in other subject also. So that is the flexibility is there. So according to that, we can make them able citizens and
Yes.
skill-based hiring also, as they are aware of the graduates' expertise domain also. So that is the main thing we are imbibed in
Great.
our
And
university.
great. And how are you using artificial intelligence? Have you started using, in that in the way you build up your curriculum and the way your students are learning, artificial intelligence playing a role there?
Yes, we have started artificial intelligence and machine learning also, and we have
Okay,
started
lovely.
aeronautical engineering also. So we can give them employment in our airline also. So that is the main benefit for them.
Yeah,
So we are trying to give them employment in our group also, major in our group. So that is our to generate more and more employment in our area. So
that's very nice. Yeah.
and that.
Yeah, that's a very interesting example because you yourself are the chairman of such a large group. If you could give employment to your own students, build more employable skills, and then what better way to do? Teach them and then imbibe them with the right skills and then hire them. That's the cycle that you're building. So thank you for sharing that. So on that note, and that was all the time I had for this interview. So Sanjay sir, Prashasti, thank you for being with us and for sharing your vision so generously. And to our audience members who are watching this, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to explore our complete video series, Advancing Higher Education in India, featuring more than 70 thought leaders. And now, this is Yasmin signing off. Stay inspired, stay future ready, everyone. Thank you so much.